Hi, I'm Mark Woolbright, and welcome to the Greenwall Mojo blog. Today's entry is a video interview case study of an existing living retaining wall, a project I had some involvement in about 10 years ago. I'm in St. Louis, Missouri, and St. Louis is blessed with a lot of living retaining wall systems that are in place and performing. So I've been going back and meeting with the owners and the owners' representatives or project influencers and getting an idea what they think about the performance of the living system, and would they do it again? Did it meet their needs? How do they feel about it? What type of feedback? The Public Works Director of the City of Chesterfield, Mike Geisel. He's a great guy, and he was very gracious to sit still with us on the interview. And while we were doing the interview, a big thunderstorm broke out and soaked us, and we ended up running for it, and we finished the rest of the interview all wet in this conference room. So a little bit different than what I'd intended, but it's fun nonetheless, and I hope you find it informative. Take care and enjoy. All right. Well, I'm Mark Woolbright, and I'm here on behalf of the Greenwall Mojo blog in pursuit of information about green walls and slopes, or living walls and slopes. And I'm here with Mike Geisel. He's the Public Works Director.
Director of Planning, Public Works, Chesterfield.
And everything.
Yep,
yeah.
Pretty close.
Exactly. And this is a slope that was built when they built this new city government building back in, was it 2000?
2001.
2001, okay. And it's hard to tell from these pictures because it's not easy to access it, but this thing's about 54 feet tall at its maximum, and it was planted by seed?
Just by seed, absolutely.
Yeah. Planted by seed with some type of native material. We're not sure exactly what it was, but it's been grown over totally for all these years. And this is the question for Mr. Geisel today, since he's been the owner of this green slope for a long time. He's got information that everybody wants to hear. And my first question would be, what were your expectations of a living wall when you selected this?
Well, we obviously, when we bought this property, we were right next to Monsanto. Very environmentally conscious, and we didn't want this stark vertical wall next to them. We wanted it just to disappear. Right. And unless you know it's here, because you've got the trees below it, it just disappears. Nobody is aware. You got the road on top. Wanted to reduce a little bit of that stark contrast, a lot of the heat maybe, yeah, and just let it grow over.
So has it met your expectations?
Absolutely, and exceeded it.
Yeah. And we did have some cracking in the parking lot above early on. We talked about that before, so this is interesting. Yeah. I don't think the heavy stuff's going to come down for quite some time.
Not until we give us the lead.
Okay, it's recording.
Is it? Okay, good. Well, we were pretty rudely interrupted by the rain, as luck would have it. And this is our reschedule. We got rained out a week ago as well. So we're just doing it no matter what at this point.
We shall prevail.
So we've dried off and dried out the cameras and the phones, and here's our nice list of questions that's all wet. And we're in the conference room where the rain won't get us. So I had asked about their expectations. What were Mike's expectations on behalf of the city? And I think you'd said it met your expectations.
Yeah, the other thing is, when we purchased the property, we were given a limited space to work with. So in order to maximize our building envelope, we had to have the wall. They just didn't want to give us additional room to slope out. So people think about a 55-foot high wall, they think how obtrusive it's going to be. Right. And I could give you probably 6 people in the entire city that know. And
it pretty well disappeared. I mean, there was some question early on about how it would be planted, and then when it was determined to plant it from seed, which I thought was a good option, it pretty much disappeared.
Yeah, we pretty much just let nature take it over, as you saw. We really trimmed the vegetation back at the top.
That gets moved a bit. I mean, the pockets are all full, the blocks are in position. It was pretty impressive. I've got some good pictures.
Well, and we watch for movement, because obviously that's the scariest thing. On top of this thing, we've got all of our infrastructure. We've got an underground detention vault. You have storm sewers, and we wanted to make sure that the worst thing that could happen to us is a pipe would open up or something. Yeah. But we've seen no movement whatsoever. And we had some survey controls set, and we were monitoring that on 6-month intervals. Seen no movement.
Soggy wet question here. Does this affect the building occupants, and do any of them comment about it?
Only every once in a while I do a presentation about projects we've done. The only way it affects them is 90% of them don't know it exists. Did you know this is on the other end? They don't, because as you could tell from our recent trek, you can't get there from here easily.
Right, right. That's probably a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, minimize the impact of a large necessary structure.
Absolutely.
That's really good. Now, I've got some slots here on the top of this form where there are some projects that are going to affect people, you know, where the wall is right there when people walk into a building. This is not one of those, but I think it still has a major effect on habitat and cooling and maybe runoff water filtration, pollutant filtration.
Well, it doesn't have the direct effect, but as I stated before, because we built that wall, we were able to increase the green space on the backside. We were able to construct this series of three-tiered ponds that recirculate.
Right.
They serve a stormwater purpose, but if we had to shrink the site to fit, those amenities would have been lost because you have to park the building.
Right.
So we were able to, it's indirect and people don't recognize it, but those, it's a zero sum.
Is there anything you would do differently?
I'd probably, if I were able to do it again, I would probably be a little more careful in the planting of the wall. I mean, this was early on. We weren't able to control the materials that were going in. Cost was an issue. And it is invisible, but I would have liked to have introduced a little more color. But that's an aesthetic change. Having difficulty getting things to grow.
You got dirt.
Yes.
you got exposed dirt, so it's going to work. That's sort of the new horizon for us. We learned how to do work with sedums really well. A lot of architects now are looking at native plant material, and so we're developing lists of plant palettes that work, and we're trying them in a variety of settings. And so over a period of maybe the next couple of years, we should develop a really good list that we can publish and people can count on, like what we've got with the sedums.
Good.
Let's see. Here's the biggie, the million-dollar question. Would you shy away from or recommend a living wall to somebody else that was a building owner?
Oh, I'd recommend it wholeheartedly. I'd do it again in a heartbeat.
That's great. And we're not paying.
And there's a half dozen styles.
There are.
I think because we have this, we're building an amphitheater now, and we've got a concessions building. And just the fact that we've introduced this sort of topic, council has authorized us, we're proceeding with a green roof. It's just a small entry into the market, but it's the concept. As a governing agency, it's important that we set that example. We'd do it again without any hesitation.
They end up being like management tools, like a rain garden, a green roof, some of the micro detention, a living wall. They all end up sort of like tools in a toolkit.
Well, and we're talking about a wall, again, that's 55 feet tall.
Yeah.
If you didn't break it up with plants, it would be like a sore thumb sticking out.
It'd be pretty ugly. It sort of just to go back and hit a couple of project specifics from back in 2001. It's a slope, not a wall technically. I think it's at 50 degrees of inclination.
I think that's correct, yes.
Yeah. And the module infill was site soil, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So we didn't even make a particular blend or do anything with it. It's just dirt left over from the excavation of the site.
Yeah, just dumped it over the side and let the cells fill themselves in.
Yeah, and of course we could have done, in modern times, we could probably do a step or two better than that. And that's another new horizon. When this airs on the Greenwall Mojo blog, what people are going to be looking for is what's that formula that can be repeated over and over again for success. And one of the things we're trying to develop is a criteria for growth media. You know, is that a compost? Is that a clay that's left over on the site, but it's analyzed so it can be amended or added to, or is there a particular fertilizing regimen that gets things off and running? You know, and that combined with species of plants give better success. Well, that is all that I really had for this particular segment. Just attempting to get some good information in there and sort of a video case study format so that people that are, I should say, specifiers considering a living wall can feel a little bit more comfortable and know that there are some long-standing projects out there that are performing from an owner's perspective, not a salesman's perspective.
If anybody's in the area, come visit. We'll show it to you.
Just check the weather. Make sure it's not rain.
Don't bring the rain.
Yeah, Mike, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I do appreciate it.
No problem.